The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100 and get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, December 6th, here to recap what we saw on Monday night in the association and get into the very short schedule here in the NBA tonight. 3 games on the schedule, but we'll go through all those games to give out some picks, some player props as we usually do. But joining me today to help me break down the card, you guys know him, the man on the East Coast, the newest member of the NBA Gambling Podcast crew. It's Delonte Smith. Delonte, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Big night last night with a lot of games, and of course, we get hit with the 3-game slate to get us going again. But all in all, everything's pretty good. Appreciate you having me again. Hopefully, we can get some winners.
Yes, sir. And also joining me to help me break down the NBA betting card. You guys know him on the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the WNBA Gambling Podcast, NFL Gambling Podcast, of course, here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, the man that does it both on and off the court for SGPN, to Scott's studio, Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much. Looking forward to going through today's card. No, definitely that there were some interesting games yesterday. Hopefully, you have a couple interesting games today. We're not sure because there's, let's just say, less of a chance that you're going to have some insane games tonight because you just have less games. So we'll see what happens. The Lakers-Cavs game should be fun. We'll get into it in a little bit. But looking forward to breaking down the card.
Yeah, interesting last night. I didn't have the greatest night as far as side my lock and dog win last night. Transparency, try to be here on the NBA Gambling Podcast. Had the Bucks on the road. They look good early, look good at halftime, but kind of fumbled the bag in the fourth quarter. Magic hit some clutch shots down the stretch. They kept it within the number. Bucks get the outright victory, but don't cover the number. And then I took the Suns last night. They just didn't even have a chance as soon as that ball got tipped off in Dallas last night. So not a great night for me. I know we had some people barking at me last night about my picks, but when you go 18-3 since Wednesday, you're due for some regression, but it is what it is. The start, and I know Terrell, I think he took the Thunder last night on the money line. I think that easily cashed for him. Forgot what his lock was, but I think it was a winner for him as well. But last night, Scott, let me start with you. Takeaways from last night. Anything that kind of stood out to you or anything that you want to get off your chest about last night?
So I think the main thing that I'm going to start off with is actually going to be a game that you lost on, Munaf, yesterday. But it's got to be that the Mavericks look like they try harder against the Suns than any other team in the league because I don't think the Mavericks are very good. And we've roasted them for the entire season for it. And yet, even dating back to Game 6 and Game 7 last year in the playoffs, the Mavericks are just trying to kill the Suns every time they play. And there's really just no way around it. And the Suns did win the first game this season. They were down like 20 at the half, and they came back and won the game. But still, Dallas just seems to be a really, really bad matchup for Phoenix, and there's nothing they can really do about it. And Dallas, once again, came out, got out to an early lead. This time didn't blow it, but one of my main takeaways was that Dallas, for some reason against Phoenix, they just own them. And I'm not really sure what Phoenix is going to do mentally to even be able to get back on track here because Booker had like 11 points. He did nothing. Luka had 30 and change in 3 quarters, and Dallas dominated. But that was kind of my main takeaway from the actual games from a side perspective. My main takeaway from the overall just players and overall landscape of the league was the fact that I'd say 2 things. One, I might have been a little bit hard on Andrew Nembhard in college at Gonzaga. I thought that he wasn't very good in college. I thought he was overrated at Gonzaga, but I don't know what the hell happened last night, but Nembhard lost his mind, and he had himself a hell of a game, and they ended up beating the Warriors. Just to go through Nembhard's stat line really, really quickly. Once again, just a second-round pick. But if you go through the actual numbers here, he played like a top 5 pick because he had 31 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds, and he made 5 threes. And he was amazing yesterday for Indiana. So that was kind of one shocker, so to speak. My other takeaway, not to take too much time, is Embiid. Simply put, he just doesn't rebound anymore. And I don't really know why. For the last couple of weeks, Embiid has just really been a horrible rebounder. And the game went to double overtime. Embiid still had 39 points, so I know that he's healthy. But you're going through the actual numbers here for Embiid, and he just has not rebounded the ball well lately. And he has had 9 rebounds or less in 4 of the last 5 games. The one exception, he had 11 rebounds in 41 minutes against Memphis. But I don't really know what it is, but Embiid is just not rebounding the ball. And I feel like that's been one kind of underrated storyline that I've been keeping an eye on that I feel like not anybody's talking about.
I was watching this game last night because it was against the Rockets. It went into double overtime, which made it even more exciting. Does something just seem off to you about this team and that maybe a blow up is coming between James Harden and Joel Embiid?
Yeah,
I feel like it's a little bit tricky to judge now because you're still waiting for Maxey to come back and you still have a lot of talent and you're hoping it works out. I don't think they're going to win anything with this roster. And I said this during the offseason. I just figured when you kept Doc Rivers as your head coach, you kind of just signed your own death certificate at some point during the playoffs. Harden looked awful last night. He was 4 for 19. It was his first game back in about a month, so I'm not going to give him too much crap for it. But still, I don't think they're good enough to win a title. So you can interpret that however you want. If that means you should blow it up, then I guess you should blow it up. But we know Embiid is the player that you kind of have to hold on to the longest.
Yeah.
Harden took less money to come back. He's clearly not the player that he used to be. He probably will never be that player again. But he took a discount. So there you go. You can see what you can get, what he's going to get in free agency. Do I think that Philly's going to re-sign him? I don't think so. Or I don't think they should. But we'll see what happens. To answer your question, though, they should blow it up because they're not good enough, but I don't think they're going to.
Delonte, same question about Sixers, and then any other takeaways you want to also mention.
Yeah, with the Sixers, it's kind of hard to judge because I think that Harden and Morey got this little BFF bond going on. So I'm not sure if he'll be willing to, moving on from Harden would be admitting that he made a bad decision. And I'm not sure he is going to do that right away. But yeah, like Scott was saying, like it's clearly not working. I mean, I was higher on Philly coming in simply because I thought that they would have a lot more depth and continuity together, being that they would have a full offseason together. Maxey was turning the corner. I thought the addition of the 2 free agent pieces that they got with Milton and PJ Tucker, was it PJ Tucker? Yeah, PJ Tucker. I thought that they would add some grit to the team. But obviously, I mean, it's just not working out right now. Yeah, man, I don't know if Morey's going to be able to bite that bullet and move on from Harden. Just not quite yet. But I mean, we've seen stranger things happen in the NBA. And as far as last night, I mean, it was a great game between Boston and Toronto. Boston fell down early, got back. I think they're just a machine. I wouldn't even look at back in Boston. I mean, back in like anybody against Boston.
Fading them, yeah.
Yeah, they're just that good. And Toronto's good, really good at home.
It was one quarter, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, Boston outscored Toronto by
That's
17 in the third quarter, and that was the game.
Yeah, that's it. And like you were saying, like Scott was saying with Indiana, I thought that was really a really impressive win by them. Nembhard, I wasn't high on Nembhard either. His brother's probably still better than he is right now, but that's another discussion. Other than that, man, Dallas just owns Phoenix, like Scott was saying. Memphis got it done without Ja. That was pretty impressive to me, even though they generally do play well without him. But yeah, man, that's about it. Atlanta still sucks.
Yeah, a lot of upsets obviously last night. Rockets outright winner. OKC, I think they're 6-point underdog winner.
Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, the biggest shocker was Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being on the court
I forgot
together
to bring
for
it up.
once. Forgot to mention that.
I forgot to bring
and hit the game winner.
Right. but only winning by 2 points. So
They were,
They didn't cover, but
yeah,
yeah,
they
they
might have
were,
been a big parlay piece for some people on the money line.
yeah,
Mhm.
they were like covering, throughout the game, but it got down to,
It's
I
that
think it
third
was,
quarter again.
yeah, like Kawhi and PG. They had that little stretch where they both were on the bench. I don't know why Lou does that, but he sits them both. I mean, maybe injury stuff, but yeah, Charlotte got hot. Rozier put up a big quarter.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I mean, when they're on the court together, they do look good. It's just at the end of games, you can tell that they're not used to playing with each other because they're kind of looking at each other like, oh, who should take this shot? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, if I should do it or not. And then Kawhi just was like, forget it, I'll take it, and he hits it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting night last night, definitely in the NBA. You live and you learn, and move on to the next night. And tonight, 3 games on the schedule here tonight, guys. Why don't we just get right into it here? First game on the schedule, the game of the night here is going to be on TNT. It's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers in Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's going to be a 7:30 Eastern start. Looking at the opening lines for this game, I'm currently seeing that the Cleveland Cavaliers opened up as a 4.5 point home favorite. That number has pretty much stayed the course at 4.5 over on WinBet. Total is currently sitting at, let's see here.
It's going up. I know that it's mostly 225 and a half, 226 at the moment, but
Yeah, it
I
opened at
think it
what,
opened up at
224,
like
didn't it?
224.
Yeah, 224 up to 226, like Scott
Yeah.
meant. 225 now, 226. I'm starting to see pop up as well. Take a look at the injury report here, gentlemen. For the Lakers, Anthony Davis and LeBron will be playing in this game. They're officially both probable, but I think LeBron already came out and said that he will play on Tuesday. Other than that, pretty clean injury report for the Lakers. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, Jared Allen is officially questionable here tonight. He has a lower back contusion. Isaiah Mobley is out for this game, and Dean Wade, we know, is going to be missing about 2 to 3 weeks for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Delonte, let me start with you on this game. The Lakers put together back-to-back wins in their last couple games here. They went into Milwaukee on Friday, got a very, very impressive victory there behind a 55-point effort from from Anthony Davis, and they also went into Washington and got the victory there, 130-119. But now they go to Cleveland to take on a Cleveland Cavaliers team that has been really good so far this season at home. What are you thinking about this game?
Man, I just want to say, whenever we had that one game slate when we were giving out futures, I think we
Mhm.
started. The Lakers must have been watching and they heard us because they've been a machine since
They
then.
heard you.
Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, you were telling a little bit. You kind of like were in between, but it was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll just go with it. But yeah, I like the Lakers. Honestly, last matchup, Cavs won and covered. They were 5.5 point road favorites. It was 114-110. Both teams pretty much struggled shooting. I think both teams were under 30% from three. But matchup wise, I think that the Lakers might have an advantage if Allen is out. And you say he's still probable. He's still probable or questionable.
He's questionable officially.
Yeah, so I like him even more if Allen's ruled out because the Lakers like to shoot. Well, they like to take a lot of shots at the rim. 42% of their shots are taken at the rim, highest in the NBA.
Yeah.
And with Allen out, it just puts more on Mobley. And Mobley is a good defender, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to withstand Davis and LeBron coming at him like consecutively, like back to back, because they're going to be ready for this game, especially LeBron coming back home. And Mobley struggled in the last meeting. Also, he was 5 points, 2 for 7 with 7 rebounds. So I like the Lakers. They've been playing better, as you alluded to. 7-2-1 last 10 ATS. A little bit of contrast in styles. Lakers, surprisingly, they like to get up and down. I was looking at the numbers earlier, and I seen that they were third in pace, so which is possessions per 48 minutes, whereas Cleveland is 30th in pace. So it's going to be interesting to see who dictates what and how they do it. Something to notice about LeBron returning to Cleveland: 17-2 straight up versus the Cavs. 33.3 points per game, 7.3 rebounds a game, 7.5 assists per game as a Laker. And he has one triple double in those 6 games. So love LeBron tonight. I would sprinkle something on that triple double. I know we ain't talked about props yet, but definitely we'll be looking at some LeBron stuff. And yeah, man, I like the Lakers. Getting a little bit over a possession. Yeah, I would be on the Lakers pretty much.
Yeah, Lakers also have been giving it up inside the paint as well. Over the last 5 games, they've allowed 58.8 points
Mhm.
inside the paint here. So if Jared Allen's able to go, even more power to the Cleveland Cavaliers here. But Scott, what are you thinking about this game between the Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I think this line looks very, very trappy, and I really don't know how to feel about it because Cleveland wins the first game on the road by 14. But you look through the actual numbers in that game, and Cleveland attempted 15 more free throws. Cleveland attempted 36 free throws in the first meeting. They made 32 of them. So they really were just dominant at getting to the foul line. They won the rebounding battle by 5. AD only had 19 points. LeBron had 27. And yeah, Lakers once again couldn't shoot from the outside. That part hasn't changed. The only difference is Anthony Davis going up a level, and Davis has had at least 44 points in each of the last 2 games. Do I think Cleveland can guard him? No. I think they have a better chance of guarding him if Jared Allen plays. I guess the question is, do I think that LeBron and AD are good enough, well, and Westbrook, because he's actually been better lately. Do I think those three are good enough to overcome the complete lack of supporting cast that the Lakers have against a very good team? I'm not sure. I really don't know. And Cleveland's been really good at home. So if you want to follow the home road splits, the Lakers have been, let's just say, a bit underwhelming on the road. And I'm being kind of generous when I say that. But the Cavs have been incredible at home. I find it interesting, though, that the spread's only 4 when Cleveland beat them on the road by 14 with everyone playing a couple weeks ago. So I find that interesting. But Cleveland's 10-1 at home. Lakers are 4-6 on the road. They did beat Milwaukee, though, on the road by 4. So I guess you can throw that in there. I like the over as my favorite play. I'm just going to back the line movement here, especially when the first meeting lands 214. And money's coming on the over at 224 and 225, and now you're at 226. I'm expecting a lot of points. I think that AD and LeBron will play well. I think that the Cavs should also have some success offensively. So the side I might just pass on because I think it's a little bit tricky, but I will go with the over. I will back the line movement because the Lakers have been involved in a lot of high-scoring games lately. Each of Los Angeles' last trying to see if it's last 5 games or if it goes beyond that. But sorry, let me just pull this up. Each of the Lakers' last 5 games have had at least 231. And I think that that's pretty telling of what kind of defense they're playing right now and how good the offense is. I'm going with the over. I think you'll see a lot of points. There's a lot of great star power on the court.
Yeah, Lakers have scored at least 115 or more points in the last 5 games, like Scott mentioned. They've scored 125 or more in 4 of the last 5 games as well. So offense is definitely clicking on all cylinders. And they're a team, like we talked about, that likes to play with pace and getting up and down the floor. So I think that continues here tonight. And, Scott, what you just mentioned about those numbers, exactly what I was looking at as well. The free throw to spares discrepancy. Also, it wasn't a great shooting night for the Lakers 2 weeks ago when these two teams faced off in LA. That game still produced 214 points. And I think this Lakers team has improved over the last 2 weeks. I know they haven't played the greatest competition, but we keep talking about how they got the victory against Portland as well. I mean, it hasn't been a rollover team this season, despite the injuries that they've been dealing with. But going into Milwaukee, getting a victory there, you could have easily laid down and rested guys against the Washington Wizards, but they didn't do that. They are going to be on a back-to-back here, so this might be the game where they kind of want to go, I think, get up. I think LeBron obviously was going to play in this game because
they're not on a back-to-back. They played on Sunday.
No, I mean tomorrow. They play tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay.
Yeah. No, you're good.
I thought you meant the Wizards game. Sorry.
Yeah. So, Lakers are going to be on a back-to-back tomorrow night, so I should clarified, in Toronto. So, obviously LeBron being back in Cleveland, he's going to want to play in Cleveland and maybe takes a night off tomorrow. Both AD good tomorrow. So, I'm with Delonte. I'll lean with the Lakers here as well. But I 100% agree with what you're saying, Scott, about the over in this game. Obviously, money coming in on the over, and the Lakers just being a offensive juggernaut, and especially playing with pace. I think that we'll see better shooting from both teams here tonight. And then paint success inside the paint for both of these teams, actually. So look for some easy baskets and a lot of points to be scored here tonight. Let's talk about some player props here. Delonte, anything that you do like in this game as far as player props?
LeBron over. I think it's I seen 25.5. With
Yeah.
just a little bit of juice on it. It's like 113, 114, not too bad. I would definitely go over in that. Read the numbers off earlier with him against the Cavs as a Laker. It's not up yet, but I would look at Lonnie Walker 3-point makes. Usually it's like right around 1.5 too.
I see a 1.5 minus 150. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a little bit too juicy. I try to find an alternate and just put 2. Worst case scenario, you push, but I think he'll hit 3 or more. He's actually hit 2 or more in 8 of the last 10. And as far as on the Cavs side, we'll look at if Allen doesn't play, I will look at Mobley double. He's had a double in 4 of the last 5, and he was in foul trouble in one of those games, so he only played 23 minutes. So I would look for him to have a double as well.
I see that plus 105.
Yeah, I like that. If Allen plays, I think it goes up a little bit more because they'll be relying on Allen to get a lot of rebounds.
Yeah.
But I think Mobley will have a good night tonight, especially with him struggling last game. Kevin Love rebounds. Also, I looked at that. He's had 7 or more in 9 of the last 11. I think he'll get up to play against LeBron, of course, former teammates. That's about it as far as the props. Another thing I wanted to add to what you guys were saying about the over, 6 of the last 10 for Lakers have went over, 8 of the last 10 have went under for the Cavs. So like it's whoever's gonna dictate the pace is probably gonna win the game. So I'm leaning to the Lakers. So I would be with you, Scott, on the over. They can't guard anybody. They won't be able to withstand Garland and Mitchell. So yeah, just give me I'm with you on the over. And as far as props, LeBron over 25.5, and second one, I'd take Mobley double.
All right. Scott, any player props for this game?
I know he wasn't great in the first meeting, but it's pretty tough to not take an over with Anthony Davis right now in terms of points. You're just looking at the numbers. Once again, he scored 99 points in the last 2 games combined. That's something you don't see that often. AD has been, truth is, if you really go through the last 2 games, he's looked like arguably the best player in the league. He's just been that good. And I don't think Cleveland can guard him. And Jared Allen, we said, is questionable. He hasn't played in about 2 weeks. So even if he does play, your first action in 2 weeks is against Anthony Davis. Like, good luck to you. It's going to be a pretty tough matchup no matter what. I'd look for his overs. LeBron, I do think, should have a good game. I think there's a good chance that at least one of them go over, probably both. But if you bet both the point total overs for LeBron and AD, worst case is you're probably splitting. That's like worst case. I don't know how both go under unless the Lakers get absolutely blown out. Yeah. But I do think if you want to look for props here, I thought about maybe Westbrook double-double, but it's a little bit tricky since he's still coming off the bench to actually find odds on it, but I don't know if I actually want to take it anyway. Do you see odds on that? Because it's pretty difficult to find with him coming off the bench.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe closer to game time, or I don't even see any props for him. Yeah, because like you're right. Because he's coming off the bench, the books usually wait closer to game time before they release like the bench player props.
Yeah, but I thought about Westbrook double-double if you can find that at some point. The assist numbers have been really good ever since he came off the bench. He's had at least 11 assists in each of the last 2 games. We've seen the Lakers be involved in a lot of high-scoring games, so you're expecting a lot of points to be scored. But I think it's mostly just Davis and LeBron. It's the Lakers. You know that they're still extremely top-heavy, which is why I think the roster is still flawed as a whole. It's why they're probably going to end up trading those 2 first-round picks because they really don't have much of a supporting cast right now. But I'll just go with LeBron and AD. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Give me the 2 best players on the court to play the best of anybody on the court.
Yeah, I'd look at LeBron PRA in this game. I think that he would have a big night being back at home. I think that's just a narrative in this game for LeBron. Currently seeing that number at.
By the way, triple-double for LeBron is around 15-1.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I like that too. 40.5 is his PRA.
40 what and a half?
40.5 for points, rebounds, and assists for LeBron.
Oh yeah, he's been killing that over. I think he's 33-7. He is 47 PRA as a Laker against the Cavs. So the number seems a little short.
Yeah. Anything else for this game, guys?
No,
Yeah,
for
not
me at
really.
least.
Yeah, not really.
We got to mention in the chat about the double for Russ. It's at plus 340, Scott.
Okay, cool.
Yep. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Detroit Pistons heading down to South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. Looking at the lines for this game, Miami Heat did play last night. And I'm currently seeing this line at 8.5 right now over on WinBet in favor of the Miami Heat. Total is at 221.5. Looking at the injury report, don't expect a lot of guys for Miami. Maybe guys like Jimmy Butler, who did play last night, to play in this back-to-back. But again, keep your eye on that injury report for the Miami Heat. For the Detroit Pistons, usual suspects on the injury report. We know Cade Cunningham is out, and also Isaiah Livers is out for this game as well. Last night, the Miami Heat did take an L in Memphis, so they are on a travel situation here for this game. 101-93 loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. They'll be traveling back from Memphis to Miami for this game. Scott, let me start with you on this game. Detroit, 8.5-point road underdogs in South Beach here tonight, taking on the Miami Heat.
I find this game particularly annoying because of the fact that Miami, you never know who's actually going to play in any given game. I assume that half the team would miss the game, but then they lost to Memphis, and I'm not sure if they really want to potentially punt both games of a back-to-back, so I'm not exactly sure what the minute distribution is going to be for Miami. You never know what the minute distribution is going to be, but I can guarantee you if they beat Memphis, nobody would be playing in this game. So we'll see what happens, but I'm taking Detroit. I can't take Miami, laying 8.5. They really have not been a great cover team up to this point. I know that they're allegedly at full strength now because Jimmy Butler's played a couple games and Hero's played games, and you get my point, but now we don't know who's going to play, so we're back to where we started. I'm going to take Detroit plus the points. They're not a good team at all. They're terrible on the road. I get it. But I'm not laying 8.5 with Miami on a back-to-back with travel while they might be missing some of their best players. I can't do it on principle. Detroit's been a good offensive team. They've been a bit feisty lately, and I'm hoping they can show something in this game. But I do think Miami being favored by this much without having absolute certainty that Butler and Hero and company are all playing is just crazy to me. It's Detroit or pass as far as I'm concerned.
I'm with you there as well. Miami so far this season, 8-15-1 overall against the spread at home this season, 3-8-1 against the spread. And in situations where they are favored at home, 3-7-1 are the Miami Heat. And on back-to-back situations, I'll throw that out there as well, 1-3 against the spread. And they're 2-2 on the total when they are on back-to-back situations. And look, this Detroit team has been feisty despite them not having Cade Cunningham, and I know they recently just got Jaden Ivey back. I think the more surprise for me has been how well Killian Hayes has been playing for this team. He's improved a lot from year over year for the Detroit Pistons, and he stepped up in big ways in a lot of these games for the Detroit Pistons. So, you got Bogdanovich back a couple games ago as well. You got Isaiah Stewart back as well. So I'm with you. I like the Pistons here plus 8.5. I think this seems like a lot of points here for a Miami Heat team that has been struggling covering games at home, at least so far this season. Delonte, what do you like for this game as far as the side? And then we'll get over to the total if you also want to chime in for the total. But what do you guys for the side here for this game?
As far, I'll be sitting this out, but I would probably lean to Miami. I mean, no, I don't have any strong conviction about it. They are returning home from a 4-game road trip where they went 2-2 straight up and ATS. The road trip can be maybe a bit exaggerated because they played the Celtics twice on back-to-back nights. So, only 3 cities in 4 games. But yeah, I think it's going to be a slower paced game. Both teams are bottom 6 in points per possession. Detroit, like you guys have mentioned, they don't do anything well other than get to the free throw line. They're first in free throw rate. Outside of that, I don't have any strong conviction about it. Like I won't be playing it, but I would just lean to Miami, thinking that they'll just suffocate Detroit defensively, especially if those guys are in. And they're 7th in points per possessions allowed. So not sure if Detroit will be able to get the ball going and they already can't shoot. So I mean, if Bogdanovich has a bad night, I mean, it could be like maybe 15, 20 point victory for Miami. But nothing I would put my money on. I would lean to the under also.
Okay.
And yeah, one of my favorite, I know we ain't talking about prop shit. One of my favorite props is I stole this one from you, Munaf, is the Ivy over 1.5 TOs. Like
Yeah.
he's went over 8 of the last 10.
Mhm.
And Miami is third in forcing defensive turnovers. So I mean that's like a home run to me when I see those numbers. So that's one of my favorite props. I will be on that. It's kind of hard to find, but it does. A couple books do post it. So just search around, try to find a 1.5. I would even take 2.5, because I think they're gonna put some pressure on him, and he'll be handling the ball a lot. I mean, they don't have a lot of ball handlers, so
Yeah.
I'll look at that prop for sure. But as for the game, I'll be staying away from it. I would lean to Miami and the under.
Yeah, I see at 2.5 as far as Jaden Ivey's turnovers for
I'll
tonight.
take it.
Minus 140. Scott, total, and then if you have any player props in this game.
So I'm going to go with the under as well. I know I'm leaning to Detroit, but there's been a bunch of money on the under. I know the line opened up, I believe, around like 223, 224, I think, and now it's down to 221. So there's been a lot of line movement towards the under. I'm not sure if that's because of what Delonte just said, which is Miami's defense is just going to put the clamps down on Detroit, or if the argument is we don't know who the hell is going to play for Miami, but we think we have a good idea, and it probably doesn't involve a couple of key pieces, which is why the line has dropped a couple points. Either or, I'm going to lean to the under as well. I know Detroit's had some high-scoring games, but I do think that Miami defensively should be up to the task. That you have to worry about fatigue, but I feel like that's going to contribute to an under, actually, because Miami might try to play slower because they don't want to run up and down the court on a back-to-back, and I think that could result in one really, really ugly quarter, probably the fourth quarter, where you're just going to see no pace at all, a lot of short jump shots, and the game basically dies. So I'd lean to the under based on the line movement. As for the props, there's one prop that I do like, and it's kind of a sneaky one. It's going to be on Detroit point guard Killian Hayes, and I like him over 5.5 assists at around minus 115. He's had at least 6 assists in each of the last 5 games. He's getting a lot of playing time because Cade's still hurt, and Miami's allowing 26.1 assists per game, which ranks tied for 21st in the league. But Hayes has quietly been pretty good at being a facilitator. 5.5, I think, is too low of a number for a guy who once again has had 6+ in 5 straight. I'll take the over on Killian Hayes assists.
Yeah, he's been I talked about it earlier that he's been playing really well so far this season.
He's not a great shooter, but he passes well. So
yeah, and he's kind of had to fill that role, like you mentioned, right? Because Cade is injured, and like you mentioned, he's had at least 6 assists in 5 straight games. He's had 8 or more assists in 3 out of the last 5 games as well for the Detroit Pistons. So definitely like that as well. I was looking at Isaiah Stewart rebounds. I think I want to continue back in that as well. Ever since he's come back for this Pistons team, he has. I know we fell 1 point short of that double-double. I think last week, Delonte, you and I were talking about that.
Man, but you hit yours though. You hit your same game parlay.
Yeah.
I missed it by that. That's it.
Yeah. So I think those were the couple that I was looking at. Obviously, no player props yet for. Well, actually, they do have Jimmy Butler player props listed, and Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero out there. So,
what were you looking for Stewart?
His rebounds.
I see 7.5 at
minus 115. That's what I see too.
And double is plus 390.
Not a bad price. The only concern is about him getting points.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for this game, guys? Before we get to the last game of the night.
Bagley. I like Bagley over points. I think I've seen 12.5 on his point. Season went over 7 of the last 8. No real force inside for Miami minus Bam, but Bam's more perimeter oriented as far as defensively. He is a rim protector, but with Stewart and Bagley both banging on the inside, they could wear him down a little bit. So I like Bagley over 12.5 points.
All right, before we get over to the last game of the night, let me tell you guys about our presenting sponsor. That's going to be WinBet. If you're ready to win money and boost your odds, WinBet is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. We're bringing the excitement of Win Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. Exclusive rewards are right at your fingertips with win rewards on WinBet. If you're looking to get involved in this same game parlay. WinBet is your home with their WinBet build your own bet, letting you customize the way you want to make it. Great promos, odds, and payouts are happening right now at WinBet. And WinBet has what you need to win. Ready to play? Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet 100 to win 100. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 years or older and is present in a state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Roster brought to you by Dave. With the holidays around the corner, you might be wondering how you're going to be able to make ends meet and shower your loved ones with gifts. Dave can help you get out of a pinch so you can enjoy the holiday season. If you're living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet, the holidays may be a really stressful time for you. But Dave, you can get your money sooner so you can spend more time enjoying the holidays with your loved ones, not having to worry about how much money you have to get through the week. Dave is a banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. With Dave, there's no interest, late fees, or credit checks. There's more money to buy those last-minute gifts and catch up on bills without having to wait for your next paycheck. You can finally tackle those expenses that you've been stressing out about and without any hangups. So if you're in a pinch and you need some extra help, download Dave and think of it as a helping hand from the future you. So all you got to do is download the Dave app from the App Store right now or go to dave.com/SGPN. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfers fees apply. Banking service provided by Evolve Bank and Trust. Member FDIC. All right, gentlemen, last game of the night, and that's going to be the second game of the doubleheader on TNT. That's going to be the Dallas Mavericks going to the Mile High City to take on the Denver Nuggets. Currently seeing this line opened up -4.5 in favor of the Denver Nuggets. That number has stayed the course at 4.5. Total opened up at 223. This number is been bet down by half a point to 222.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, Dallas, of course, is on the back-to-back, like I mentioned. They played at home last night against the Phoenix Suns, where they took care of business. For the Denver Nuggets, KCP is officially questionable on the injury report. Jeff Green is also questionable. Michael Porter Jr. has been ruled out for this game as well. Dallas on back-to-back situations so far this season. They are 0-3-1 against the spread and 3-1 towards the over. But they just haven't been able to cover a lot of games so far this season. 7-15-1 overall against the spread. They're 3-7 on the road against the spread. They're 1-2 as road underdogs so far this season. And they are, like I mentioned, 0-3-1 with no rest, and they are 3-1 towards the over on back-to-back nights. Not sure if we're expecting Luka to play here tonight. I don't think he's played in a lot of the back-to-back games so far this season for the Dallas Mavericks. But Delonte, let me start with you on this game. Dallas Mavericks headed to the Denver Nuggets to take on the Nuggets. Do you think this is a letdown spot for them after the victory against Phoenix, or do you think they'll stay competitive in this game?
I really do think it's a letdown spot, and I think that you hit it right on the head with the Luka playing on the back-to-back. I took it overnight at 4.5. Both were out there. I took a 4, but 4.5 is more than reasonable. Just thinking that maybe Luka won't play, and even if he does, I still like Denver in this matchup. They won the last matchup 98-97 as a 10.5 point underdog. Joker and Murray both were out. I think that was during the little COVID thing that they had going on. Luka struggled. To his standards, he struggled. 22, 9, and 8. Bertans chipped in 15 points. I think that this will be much like the Lakers in the Cleveland game. It depends on who dictates the pace, because Denver, they like to run. They're first in transition points per possession. They have 6 of the last 8 games have went over. Well, no, I'm sorry. 6 of the last 8 games for Dallas have went under.
Okay.
So it's going to be a contrast of styles. And we all know that Dallas, they like to slow it down. They like to have Luka with the ball in his hand. They do have some elite lineups. Dallas does 2 of the top 5 ranked lineups in points per possession. It's a small sample size, only like 102 possessions, but they're starting to get something with Josh Green and Maxi Kleber in the lineup with Luka and Christian Wood. Plus 37.4 point differential with that lineup on the floor. And another lineup that they have that's pretty effective is Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr., Powell, and Spencer Dinwiddie. So those two lineups are pretty good when they're on the floor. Jason Kidd just doesn't play them as much. I have no idea why. I'm pretty sure he has the same access to the data that we have. So I'm not sure what he's seeing in there. And like Scott mentioned at the top of the show, Dallas is a bit of a fraud, 29th in win differential, meaning that it's games won versus expected to win. They're negative 2.3 in that. So bit of a fraud. The Minnesota Vikings of the NBA, if you want to say that. But I like Denver here. I think that Joker will kill inside. Jamal Murray's been playing a lot better, 20 plus points in 6 of the last 8. Michael Porter Jr. being out, I'm pretty sure they're accustomed to it.
Yeah.
So I like Denver here to cover the small number.
Scott, thoughts on the side here?
For me, I'm going to go with Denver as well. It's really, really annoying when you have a team on a back-to-back, but the first game was a blowout, and you don't really have to use the starters for any of the fourth quarter because they're still going to be tired, but they're not going to be as tired because Luka only played 29 minutes. But it's with travel, and it's altitude, and it's a back-to-back. So I don't think it's a great spot for Dallas. Even though a lot of the starters didn't need to play the fourth, it was still a high-scoring game. There was a lot of pace in that game, which was a bit unexpected, but I do think fatigue's going to play a factor. You mentioned before that Luka has not played many back-to-backs this season. He actually has not played a single back-to-back this season because Dallas has only had 2 back-to-backs. Actually, he's played 1. He played a back-to-back on October 29th, October 30th, and then there was another one, November 15th, November 16th, and he did not play the 16th. So he split the actual participation in those back-to-backs, but with altitude, I'm not exactly sold on the, I'd say, certainty that Luka is going to have a great game. I think that there's a good chance that Denver could potentially clamp him up, which sounds very difficult because Luka, of course, we know is a great player, but you can go through Luka's numbers against Denver, and he's really not been that great at scoring, at least efficiently, against Denver in his career. Doncic has scored less than 29 points in 10 of his 13 career meetings against Denver. And Doncic has scored less than 24 points in 5 of the last 6 meetings against Denver. And his player prop was 32.5. So I guess on principle, I'm leaning to the under there. I know it sounds dangerous, like don't try this at home, but I kind of like the Luka under 32.5 because I just think that number's too high based on what we've seen historically, which is that Denver really sends a lot of double teams at Luka. And you look at the assist numbers for Luka against Denver, he just walks into 11 assists every time they play. It's really crazy how good he is at passing the ball against this team. Denver's going to pretty much take the anybody but Luka beat us philosophy. I like Luka assists over. I think I'm leaning points under, but I will go with Denver to win this game, and I think they'll win comfortably. They lost their last 2 games on the road. They gave up 38 points to Jose Alvarado. I got to assume Malone yelled at the entire team for that defensive performance. I think it's a nice bounce-back spot for Denver. I'll take Denver, but I do think that eventually with altitude, Dallas is going to fall apart just energy-wise in the second half.
Yeah, I haven't filtered it down to Luka, how he's done in Denver. He's played 6 games in Denver against the Nuggets, and he's scored 25 or more points just once in those 6 career games. And like you mentioned, Scott, that the assist numbers are definitely there for him when he does play Denver. So I think that's a great call of taking the under on Luka here tonight. Something I probably will entertain here tonight to add to the betting card. I like Denver.
It's 32.5. Like, I know Luka's incredible, and I get he takes so many shots, but if a defense is going to pretty much funnel the ball out of his hands, and historically speaking, he has not had many great shooting games against Denver in the past. 32.5 is just such a high number. I can't take the over on that. I guess I have to lean to the under.
Yeah, 100%. And this could, it's a possibility where it turns into a blowout for
either team,
the
Denver
Nuggets.
Yeah, they got defenders. Denver, they got a few, they got KCP to throw at them. Bruce Bowen.
Brown?
I mean, not Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown. They wish they had
Bowen,
Bruce
though,
Bowen.
great defender.
Yeah. They got a couple of defenders to throw at them to keep them off balance a little bit. And like you said, that the fatigue is going to set in at altitude, I think, on a back-to-back. So, yeah, I
I just
like
want to
that too.
ask something, by the way, since I know you mentioned before
Yeah.
some of the great lineups involving Dallas. Is Denver better without Porter Jr. on the court? Because it feels that way, but I don't have the stats in front of me to back it up.
I was looking at that earlier. I don't. You would think that they would be worse. I mean, because of his offensive ability, but
I think they'd be better without him because he doesn't guard anybody.
yeah, defensively they are a lot better simply because he can't guard a statue, and offensively they're pretty much about the same. It just depends on which lineup. I'll send you some of the stuff. I don't have it right in front of me, but I was looking at it because
I'm just
he's
assuming
always
that
injured.
Porter being out is really not as big of a deal as people make it out to be.
Yeah,
That's kind of
it's
my
not.
point.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. They're much more effective with Bowen, Jokic, Murray, KCP, and Bones Highland.
And
Actually,
Brown can shoot a little bit. He's
Yeah.
been better from the 3-point line this
and
season. So
Joker doesn't have to facilitate more because Bruce can, do some facilitating as well. Jamal Murray can play off ball. So yeah, that lineup is, I think, their most effective one. But again, Bones Highland, he's not really a defender as well, so it's kind of like you got to pick your poison. But he can score. But yeah, I think they're better with Porter. I mean, I don't know what do they do with him. I mean, he's always hurt. Like we know
he's one of
it's
the
a
worst
history.
contracts in the league. I mean,
Yeah,
you
like-
can't do anything about it. The
Right.
contract was terrible when they gave it to him because he got hurt in college and he couldn't stay healthy.
Right.
And then he had a good run there in the bubble. And then after that, he got injured again once they paid him a bunch of money. But I brought it up because with Luka, you know that they're going to try to switch every pick and roll.
Mhm.
And you're assuming that Jokic is going to be switched on to him, but Jokic can still give you length. Porter would have been an absolute lost cause against Luka if they switched everything. So the fact that he's not on the court, you have Brown and you have a couple other guys who might look a little bit better with switching, I think actually helps Denver's defense in this matchup. So I actually kind of like the fact that Porter Jr. is not playing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, the other player per up I was looking at in this game was Jokic rebounds. Currently
He's
sitting
had,
at
what,
11
16
and
in
a half.
like each of the last 3 games or something?
Yeah. And again, like we've mentioned, that Dallas just doesn't have the size inside to keep these guys off the boards. They've done a better job over the last 7 games against the center position, but Jokic is just a different animal. And, like you mentioned there, Scott, 3 straight games where he's had 16 rebounds exactly against the Dallas Mavericks. So right now, he's at 11 and a half at +1, yeah, +105. So one player prop that will be on for sure in this game. All right, guys, anything else for this game before we get into our lock and dog?
Man, we got to keep riding, what we've been riding for about a week. Tim Hardaway Jr., 3-point makes 5 or more in the last 4 games.
Did he make it last night too?
Yeah, I think so.
I got the box score. Yeah, 5
They scored
and 9 last
130,
night.
so I'm assuming he
Yeah,
got there.
yeah, he
5 and 9.
he was killing it. Yeah, I gotta keep riding it. I gotta keep riding that. And you were talking about rebounds. Do we have anything for Aaron Gordon? I like his rebounds over. I'm assuming it would
6
be
and a half.
around. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that. He has what does he have? I think he has like over 7 in 8 of the last 11, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. I'll have to go back and do it. I might have put the wrong number up here, but he's been rebounding pretty solidly, especially with when Joker was out. So some of those numbers might be, a bit inflated, but Dallas doesn't have much size inside. So I like Aaron Gordon to go over those rebounds as well.
But by the way, as of right now, I don't see any numbers on Hardaway, so we're gonna have to wait for that.
It don't matter, man. It's been cashing.
I'm saying the alternative.
3.5.
Oh, alternative. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't see the
3.5
5.
threes are at +140.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
I'm saying
yeah.
so 5 when it gets posted should be probably somewhere in like the +300 range, but
Yeah.
I don't see that right now. So
Yeah, man, he's been killing it. He's been killing it.
All right, guys, let's get into our lock and dog for this 3-game schedule here in the NBA. Zante, I will let you lead it off, my man. What do you got for your lock and dog for tonight?
For the lock, we're going with the Denver Nuggets. We just broke it down literally seconds ago. I think Dallas is a bit fraudulent, and I like the spot for Denver. They're coming off back-to-back losses on the road. They haven't been money makers, so to speak. ATS 11 and 12 ATS, but they are 5 and 3 at home against the spread. So I think it's a good spot for them. I would also look under in the game. But I'll take Denver laying the short number, 4.5 against Dallas. For the dog, I'm going with the Lakers. We went over it earlier as well. I think the Lakers in a prime spot. They literally have to get off to a good start with this. They have a really, really tough schedule coming up. They have the next 10 games, they have 7 against winning records, and 6 of them are on the road. So it's a big
Sure.
spot for the Lakers. If they want to get into that playoff mix and stay there, they gotta get off to a great start with this road trip. So I'll take the Lakers to be my dog, and yeah, let's get some winners.
All right. Scott, what do you got for your lock and dog?
All right. So for my lock, I will go to that Dallas and Nuggets game. I'm gonna take a player prop. I'm gonna go with Luka over 8.5 assists. At the end of the day, I do think Luka offensively is gonna have to facilitate more because historically speaking, that's how Denver has guarded him. They tried to take away his actual desire to score by sending a bunch of doubles and trapping on pick and rolls and forcing him to make decisions in terms of getting his teammates more involved than probably you want them to be because his supporting cast has not been great this season. But to go through the numbers for Luka here, he has had 11 plus assists in 6 of the last 8 meetings. And once again, that's 11 plus. I'm talking about 8.5. Like, he doesn't need to get to 11, but if you want to take some alternatives on assists, I don't mind that. But 8.5 at minus 125 for a guy who's been forced to get his teammates involved against this team in the past, and for really just the fact that Luka, assist-wise, has been very solid lately. I do think that this number seems a bit short. I like the fact that he had roughly 7 or 8 last night in just 29 minutes because it's misleading because he didn't play the fourth quarter. He's
Good
played
point.
29 minutes exactly on the dot the last 2 games. So his assist numbers have kind of cooled off because of it, and I think it's a good buy low spot on assists. Give me Luka over 8.5 assists at minus 125.
All right. And for your dog, what do you got?
So for my dog, I thought about actually taking the same game. I'm going to mention this player prop anyway. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to take it as my dog, but it was Jamal Murray, and I thought about taking his 3-pointers over 2.5 at plus 126. He's made at least 3 in 4 of the last 5 games, and Dallas does rank 22nd in opponent 3-point percentage. So I thought about Jamal Murray, but I think I'm going to go for a swing for the fences here. The question is, do I want to go with the full game or do I want to go with the first half here? What do I want to go with? You know what? I'm going to go with an alternative. I'm actually going to go with neither. Screw it. I'm going to go with an alternative for a point total here. I'm going to take Anthony Davis 30-plus points, which is available. It's going to be a short plus price, but I still like it. Just waiting for it to load for me. I see 80, 30-plus at right now. About plus 140. I think it's a good price. I know that Cleveland was good against him the first time around, but AD has kicked his playing level up a notch ever since they played. And once again, 44 plus points in each of the last 2 games. Had 55 last game. I'll take 30 at plus 140 because I don't think anyone can guard him right now. Even Giannis couldn't guard him. So I'm going to go with AD over 29.5 points basically at plus 140.
All right, no argument for me on that. All right, for my lock, I am gonna go with let's go with the over in the Lakers and Cavs game. Seeing the money coming in on the over as well. I think that we talked about how the Lakers, like getting up and down the floor. I think they'll dictate the pace in this game. I really do think so. And they have also, like we mentioned, they put up 125 or more points in 4 of the last 5 games and 115 plus in 4 of the last 5 straight games. And, we talked about the game earlier that these two teams met up where it wasn't a great shooting night for the Lakers, but they still finished up with 215 points despite the combined in that game. So I'm trying to say. So I think number one, that AD and LeBron are been playing better. If Jared Allen is not able to go in this game, that's more easy baskets, I think, for the Lakers to finish around the rim and get points inside the paint. And I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers will also be able to knock down their 3-point shots in this game and be able to score in this game as well. So I'll go with the over. Currently, that's at 225 over on win bet. And then for my dog, I'm going to go with LeBron's assist here tonight. That number's at 6.5 at plus 125 here tonight. we talked about the numbers, how he's been great against the Cleveland Cavaliers in his career. He goes back home to put on a show. And again, with the way AD is playing, I can see a world where they are going to be forcing him to, or not forcing, but feeding him the ball, whether that's from Westbrook or whether that's from LeBron here. And again, won't be surprised, like Delonte talked about earlier, where he did have that one triple-double against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but, his PRA had been going over against the Cavs as well. So I'm going to go with LeBron over 6.5 assists plus 125 as my dog.
Yeah. I play that triple double also. Scott, you said it was what, 15-1?
Yeah, I found 15-1.
Yeah,
Some books at 10-1, one book at 15. I would just grab the 15.
Yeah, I think 15 is outrageous.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Make sure to follow the NBA Gambling Podcast account at SGPN NBA. I know Terrell and I mentioned you guys screenshotting your Spotify wrap ups from Spotify. If we are in your top 3, send us a screenshot, tweet it at us. We'll get you some merch. We'll pick out a winner on the Friday episode with Scott and Terrell. So definitely keep sending those in. Definitely appreciate all of our listeners and the fans of the show. Delonte, anything else, my man, before we get out of here?
No, that's about it, man. You're gonna get off the snide tonight. I mean, people shouldn't be giving you a hard time. That's all I got to say. They shouldn't be. After you hit that same, we did really well that Thursday with that one game. A lot of stuff cash, man. Just lay off my man. That's all I got to say.
Scott, anything else, buddy, before we get out of here?
Not really. Looking forward to going through the NFL card, doing the total show with Terrell later. Besides that, I'll be back once again on the NBA show with Terrell tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But hopefully I'm back doing a victory lap after a sweep tonight.
Yep.
Hopefully it's a good night of betting, even though it is just 3 games. But I think we handily camped those games very well for tonight. All right, guys. Like Scott said, Scott and Terrell will be back tomorrow. Check them out then. Till then, good luck with your picks. Let's break these books off and let it ride.